Patrick, guess what came in the mail today?
Oh, what?
This.
Stick it in!
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to another episode of the M&K Productions Podcast. I am your host with the most, Mac, joined here with the co-host with also the most, Kristen, aka Miss Flamingo. How you doing today, Kristen? Or night, whatever it is.
It's good. It's nighttime here for just about everyone here who's joining us. Mac, I have to tell you something.
What's up?
Get ready to celebrate. We have 31 days until my wedding.
Oh my gosh, get hyped. Play the celebratory music. We gonna get down and funky. You're gonna get a video with me meeting Kristen for the first time because we've known each other for essentially 3 years now, and we've never seen each other face to face, and this is a perfect opportunity to get this done.
Yes, I'm so excited to celebrate though. Yes, it's the first time we'll be meeting, but we are such good friends. Like I tell you all the time, you're like my brother, so I had to invite you to my wedding. So it just made perfect sense. So I'm excited to finally have you. But today we have an extremely exciting episode because today we are joined by two guests to talk about Academy Award winning actress Jennifer Lawerence. So, like I said, we are not alone. First of all, coming back to the show is the one and only Hunter, the Cinema Dispatch, joining us, as well as post-credit Dean from Instagram. So we have two great guests. So let's get them talking. How's it going, Hunter? Hey, Dean.
Hello.
Hello. Thank you for having me. I'm happy to be back. I mean, it was a year ago we were talking about Don't Worry, Darling, and I still remember all the stuff about that movie.
The drama from that movie.
Yeah.
And the movie
Don't
that
Worry,
was
Darling
not
was a year ago?
Dean, you're on
Yeah.
mute.
I think so, yeah.
Am I?
No, he's not. I hear
Yeah,
him.
there's a little.
No.
I see like a little red sign, but unless there's 5.
My computer's
No,
on
his
mute.
computer's-
I'm like,
Oh,
different thing.
okay.
Yeah. I gotta...
Damn. Okay.
Technology.
Technology. Yes, but yet.
Yes.
Oh my goodness! Don't Worry, Darling, and Harry Styles in his acting debut was a year ago.
Mm.
Not
Mm.
debut. I should excuse myself. He made his debut in Dunkirk, but his big role was in Don't Worry, Darling.
Mhm.
So, Hunter,
It's
we know
good.
your thoughts about Don't Worry, Darling, but Dean,
Oh, yeah.
yes or no? Don't Worry, Darling. Just as a
I was on board for a lot of it. I didn't know a lot going in, so I just kind of enjoyed it.
that means you didn't know the
and-
drama going in, or yes?
Oh, I didn't know the drama. That was actually interesting. Okay, yeah. I meant the story. I knew all about the drama.
The drama's
So
more
it's-
interesting than the movie.
It was.
I
and Harry
mean,
Styles
to
was
be
really good
fair,
on it, so it was
yes.
fun. Oh my god, I don't know how much of it was true as well, but that was a fun production to follow. Like, just it was completely chaotic.
Oh my
Yeah.
god! Just think about that was a year ago, Hunter. That just amazes me.
Oh, I
But
can't
how
believe
are
it.
you,
Jeez.
Hunter? How are you doing? You have been traveling around the country and the world with film festivals. Between you went to Cannes, you went to Toronto. I mean, can you spill all the juicy gossip and tea and all the movies that you've been watching recently?
Yes,
And
please.
what have you been up to? Like, I am anxious to know about what's been going on in your circuit.
Thank you. Yes, no, it's been a really fun year so far in terms of just using the love of movies to, no one ever says they regret not traveling. So I was like, you know what, I better use this for good and travel around. So yeah, I was at Cannes back in May, and there's unfortunately, right off the bat, I did not see Killers of the Flower Moon or Indiana Jones there. Unfortunately, you can't see everything, but I saw a lot of great stuff as well, like the Wes Anderson movie I saw there, Asteroid City. I saw The Zone of Interest there, which was incredibly depressing, but depressing for a good reason in terms of a good movie. And a couple other not so good movies. It's what happens when I watch more stuff. You open yourself up to less good stuff. But yeah. And then I thoroughly overdosed myself in Toronto by watching 25 movies or 27 in like 6 days. There was some really long
Damn.
days in there. Yes.
How did you sleep
But-
during that time watching all those 27 movies?
Well, it was a lot of you watched 4 or 5 movies a day. You start at 8 a.m. usually is the press screenings at that morning, so you watch then, and then the last movie's usually at 10 at night. You don't get done till midnight. Then I try to write one review, and then to get about 5 hours of sleep and do it all over again. So
That is commitment.
Damn.
it
true
was commitment. This is my true endurance test this year. I was like, what is the absolute limit I can hit? And I would say 25 to 30 is about where I am. Like, I felt good, but I think if I went any more, I probably would start losing brain cells, I think, more than I already did, I guess.
Jesus.
Jesus. Okay, so what has been your favorite? Because I know like The Holdovers has been a popular choice from Toronto, but what was your favorite film that you saw this year at Toronto?
I actually won't be deviating from the Piper Pin. I think The Holdovers was my number one film there. It's really great. I've really loved it, actually. I've not seen a lot of Alexander Payne movies. Actually, I think the only one I had seen before this was Downsizing, so I guess the bar was really low on that. But
Oh my gosh, you have to see Nebraska. Go watch
Yes,
Nebraska.
yes.
That movie is so good. That movie was my first Alexander Payne theater going experience. It was incredible. And seeing that in theater, since the film is shot in like black and white, it's let me tell you, that's incredible.
Interesting.
It was weird there in Toronto because they had a press screening for it, like I think 2 days before premiere there, but they did it in the smallest theater in the Scotiabank theaters. That it's just a normal theater. It's the smallest one, so you had to line up at least an hour in advance to get into it, and they were turning people away. So that feels a little extra special to her. It was very strange how they were doing it, but Toronto's a really well-run festival for how many people are there and how much stuff is going on. So I applaud him for that. But Alexander Payne was one of those directors I had not seen his movies, but I was like, this guy's been nominated for Best Director 3 times. That's kind of strange. And then watching The Holdovers, I was like, this makes sense now. This is a guy who really knows his craft and just makes this really sweet and charming movie of just about 3 characters hanging out over Christmas, basically. And it's really well done. And all the, a lot of high concept movies I saw there that I liked, this was the one that just had its sights set straight and it shot a perfect shot, basically.
I love that.
That's the one with Paul
amazing.
Giamatti, right?
Correct.
Yes.
Fun fact about that movie that I believe, if I'm not mistaken, that was filmed in my home state of Massachusetts.
Hell yeah.
No kidding.
It does take place in Boston for a good portion of it. So
Boston movie,
in the
I'm
surrounding
sold.
areas. Yes.
So
yes.
I got some. It'll be in Massachusetts, January 2022. So all the fun facts out there. Mac is he's had 2 movies because there's another movie with
Garrett Hedlund, maybe?
Garrett Hedlund. Yeah, he did a movie here in
so.
my hometown in Springfield.
Nice.
So,
you're from Springfield. Lovely.
Yes, I am. So if you want to send me anything in the mail, you can. But...
I'll come visit. I'm from Boston too. I just moved.
Oh, nice.
So, yeah. Oh yeah.
There you go.
Just moved here.
I
Yeah.
didn't know that. Okay. Well, The Holdovers is playing at my local film festival. I didn't get tickets to that because I know it's only coming out a week later, so I wasn't gonna.
It's true.
But yeah, I'm excited to send my local film festival. We'll talk about that later. But let's get into knowing Dean. Dean, how you doing? Welcome to the show.
I'm pretty well. Yeah, I love it. Love talking about movies.
Yeah, I know. I saw your recent story. I know you are also changing up your brand a little bit.
I am, yeah. Kind of started out with like movie reviews and stuff initially because I kind of wanted to be involved in the industry. And then as I moved to Toronto to kind of pursue filmmaking. So I was in Boston before this, and I'm like, okay, let me try the closest film city that was in Boston. And I guess Toronto showed up. I've been here about 2 years, and now I'm starting to enter the industry as like a writer, director. I'm like spending time with people in it, and it's so intriguing. Like the characters you meet are pretty fun and exciting. And I kind of once you put your foot into it, I kind of felt bad about like giving films like bad reviews or trashing on them because I'm like, I kind of saw how hard it is to actually make a movie, and I'm like, okay, this is a lot of work. So I wanted to kind of drift away from like critiquing and more like, telling people what I loved about the film, what I noticed about the filmmaking aspects of it, but also what is it like to become a filmmaker? Like, how do you enter that space? What do you need to survive in that space? I'm very introverted as well. So it's kind of like, is that going to hold me back? Is that something I need to fight and work over? I'm not good at like, sucking up to people. I don't know how that works. But yeah, and it's a new city. It's a new entertainment industry entirely. Like Toronto is very vibrant, and you can find like all kinds of like art projects and film projects happening here. So that's my goal now. Going into next year, I'm just like, let's see how you make it.
Well, you are in the spot since Toronto and Canada itself is a huge filmmaking spot. I mean, they used to film like one of the biggest shows, at least on the CW, was Riverdale. It used to be filmed out in Canada. So And a lot of the like Lifetime
Suits
films
was here
that people
too.
watch. Yes,
It's
Suits.
interesting.
Lifetime
Yeah,
movies are shot there.
pretty much,
Hallmark
yeah.
movies are shot there. There's so much stuff going on in Toronto, at least from
It's
my
a lot.
neck of the woods. I know from at least from what I know.
Yeah, volunteering was super fun. It was a little. This is my second year. So last year was just the first year they came out of COVID, and now this one is where they had the writer's strike, so there weren't as many actors. And funny you mentioned "Don't Worry, Darling." I think I do remember Harry Styles was around here, and there was a lot of buzz because he did walk the red carpet for that. And I was
Jealous.
like, damn, the crowd that came because of him was incredible.
Mm-hmm.
And he's a pretty good actor, honestly. I think he has potential. It's like just because he's getting into it. Like I feel like given a couple of years, given a few good directors, he'd work well. But volunteering with TIFF is just a lot of fun. Basically, I go there to see movies, so I'll try to get the ushering detail where I get to just sit in and watch a bunch of movies for free. I saw a lot of animated shorts. I saw the movie about, I don't know, who was it, the Rolling Stones. I think that was a 3-hour documentary.
Oh damn.
And then yeah, that was insane. A lot of people went for that. And then sometimes you get like red carpet premieres. I saw like Salma Hayek. She looks gorgeous. Like she's just so effervescent because she had a movie like a Christmas special playing as well. But the fun part of volunteering is you'll never know where you end up. You just are placed somewhere, but because TIFF is so like vibrant with so many different things happening all the time, you'll just, make a lot of friends, meet a lot of people. I mean, Hunter, I might run into you next year. I don't know if you know Darren. I met him as well, like just for like a couple of minutes.
I mean, we literally, we had the same schedule. We had the same Airbnb and everything. So we were right there.
There we go. Yep. I kind of met him, I think, just after he saw Pool Man or something, and he gave me like the full intense detail about one of the. I'm surprised, like that movie. I'm so excited to see it, but I really want to from the comfort of my own home. But yeah, it was kind of like we just had like a 5-minute overlap, and it was really fun. And I'm going to do what you did next year. I'm going to try to like attend a bunch of film festivals. Like I went for the Montreal one last year. I really liked it. I want to see what Vancouver's about.
Ooh, yeah.
International, yeah. Do the 27 movie 6-day experience. But volunteering, I'd recommend for anyone who's interested in film. Just try volunteering.
Yeah. Speaking of Darren, I thought I did 27 movies. He did 52 movies in the 10 days. So
I don't know how he did that. I don't know.
Endurance.
I running on fumes.
Certifiably insane, basically, at that point. I thought I was a little crazy, but that's like, I was like, that's literally 5 a day plus 2 6 days. I think that's what he had, 2 6 movie days every day.
Because I met him after like the 32nd or 33rd movie, and he was still going, and he's like, I'm gonna try and touch 50, and then I think he did.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, he did pretty well. I remember that. I left not midway through, but like with a couple days left, and he was still going pretty strong at that point. So applaud that.
Shout out Darren.
Yeah.
The dream for me is to go to Toronto and New York. I have been to like a majority of the film festivals, at least I wanted to attend, but those two are still like on my bucket list for sure. So I've been to Toronto.
I've been to none, unfortunately.
So Toronto.
I know. I need to once I get I'm gonna get a passport. Definitely like I think TIFF is definitely, if you're a film lover, I can agree with what you and Dean and Hunter, what you guys said is like, if you're a film lover, like I feel like you have to go to at least one film festival. Like make it TIFF. TIFF is like the Super Bowl for film buffs. And like
that or like Cannes.
Yeah, Cannes. Like I feel like those two are definitely where's Cannes? In Cannes, like Italy?
No, that's in France.
France. Well, that's more expensive. I'll stick to TIFF.
Way more.
We don't do Cannes.
Start small,
Yeah, but maybe next year, me and Kristen can do it.
You go dress up for Cannes, Hunter? Like, do you have to like dress up in a suit and stuff? I always see people so fancy when I see clips.
It depends. If you go to the evening premieres, you do. So I did for a couple movies, but then most of them you can wear pretty much this and stuff. So it's a really fun thing to just be in a different culture and a whole new kind of environment to watch movies like that. It's part of the fun thing about it.
Amazing. All right, so we're gonna jump into a recent update that has been going on. And that is an update on the writer's strike, which has officially concluded, which is great for many film fans. The Screen Actors Guild strike is still going, but that doesn't mean the studios are meeting with the guild to come up with some kind of deal. But for now, I'm just going to point out from an article from from CBS Los Angeles, as they announced that the Writers Guild had ended its strike. So right now it says that a 3-year deal outlines a 12.4 5% pay increase starting with a 5% upon a
Amazing.
contract's ratification for the following 2 years. All writers will receive a 4% and a 3.5% increase of the respective years. And then they go on to say, before the 448-day strike, the WGA asked the Alliance of Motion Picture and Television Producers for 16% raise over the 3 years. In addition to the raises, writers secured a 76% increase for foreign streaming residuals. According to the WGA, this increase will their residuals from Netflix from, let's say, about 18,000 to 32,000 for a single or hour-long episode. Writers will also receive a viewership based on streaming bonuses, and that's between $9,000 and $40,000, depending upon the length of the show for a streaming feature that has a budget of over $30 million.
So notice how they didn't mention anything about no AI. So I'm assuming
I
that's
was gonna
probably
ask,
still.
yeah.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
that's still on the table.
I think from what I understand, and anybody can go ahead in the comments or message me if I'm wrong, but there is a component to AI. But from what I do remember, for a writing team, I don't remember it to some capacity, but there needs to at least have a showrunner and 3 writers in the room with that writer. And like I said, somebody can go ahead and correct me if I'm wrong. And the writer can have, the showrunner at least can have 3 to 5 people with them. But so this is from what I remember. I can't recall. I was trying to find an article that had like specific points on it, but this is like, this is something I tentatively found. Yeah, that, goes over all some of it, but it does bring a huge increase, and at least it makes a lot of the writers happy, and they really strived for what they wanted. So
didn't back down.
No.
Yeah, they did not back down. And the good thing is shows like, Saturday Night Live are returning. So if you watch, it's not that great nowadays, but that means, Pete Davidson is finally going to have his hosting gig, and he will get to host, this upcoming weekend on SNL. So, SNL was one of those shows, at least, they went on strike because of the writing, because a lot of the actors that are on it are writers. So they can still go on and perform and have the writing. They're under a different, from what I someone also can go ahead and correct me if I'm, but they are under a different agreement with SAG. So they are allowed to go back and continue to go to work.
That's the thing with like this whole thing that it started with, like the studios wanting to do AI. Is like, did people not realize, like, to be a writing, because like, I still write my reviews. Like I use the AI for like the voiceover, but the words are from me, because I feel like when you type something up, you have to put like your emotion into it. You're feeling every word you type. And like, I mean, a good example of this, any gamers out here, is that game Gollum that bombed horribly earlier in the year. It was later, a couple days ago of this recording, the development team said that apparently they used Chat GPT to help with some of the story, and that makes a lot of sense because that story was the most nonsensical, dumbass thing I've ever read or played in my life. And then it's like, that's the thing. It's just like the using the, and that can go the same thing with the actors, because we don't know the actors. They're probably going to be on strike for a little bit longer because they do have enough capital to hold out a little bit more. So I don't think that's a problem. But like the thing with actors, the whole using like CGI and AI stuff, like that's just a whole nother thing too, because like I was listening to a video today, they were going over Flash, and they mentioned like, George Reeves' cameo, and like, how it was really weird to bring back someone back from the dead and everything. I'm like, yeah, that's true, because if I remember correctly, the first time I remember me being aware of like doing something like that is when I saw Rogue One, and they did that for Peter who played Grand Moff Tarkin. Oh my gosh. What's his name?
Peter Cushing.
Peter Cushing. Whoops, I always said Peter Cullen. He's still alive, thank God.
Yeah, he's still alive.
I just thought like that's weird. So I'm like, unless you're, because there's no like relatives of George Reeves alive that could be like, hey, don't use our great dad's likeness in here. Like, Peter Cushing, his family said okay, but they were a little uncomfortable with it. And like, I think even they're trying to do it with Robin Williams, and his daughter's like, no, that's creepy, don't do it. Like, it's just there needs to be a limit to this.
I think the first time I noticed it, I think was like in the Fast and Furious one when Paul Walker, like towards the end, I think they had to figure out how to like reconstruct him digitally using his brother and stuff. But then he was already dead, but they had to like finish it with him, and I think they got that. And yeah, and kind of they did pull it off. They did a good job, but it was very respectful as well, which I kind of like.
That scares me. That kind of sounds like what they might do for the new Fast and Furious if they're really talking about bringing him back. Just make a full CGI Paul Walker. That scares the shit out of me.
He is coming back. So it's going to be very weird.
Oh no,
he's always going to be coming back. But I will say with AI, it's scary now because we don't know what the future is like for it. But all we know is, from what I understand, it's going to get better and better. I think we all as like individuals need to learn how to figure out how to use it. And I'm only saying that because I've learned a lot through my personal job lately and just doing some things with AI. And I'm like, oh, this is making my job a little easier.
Yeah.
But it's not taking away, at least from what I'm doing. It's just trying to help in certain ways. But hopefully there's, people like at the motion, television, entertainment, whatever, the guild, the industry of what that long title that's called, they learn, the ideas of AI and what, they can do, at least so we can still have writers' jobs and acting jobs. Because I think it's the bigger one that's having the issue is definitely the actors at this point. And knowing that they can replace, because I was explaining to my parents a couple times, we were watching Reptile over the weekend, and we were talking about the idea of like, with this AI, and I was like, my dad is like, oh, how is this going to affect performances? And I was explaining, I was like, well, it can affect someone like Justin Timberlake starring in it. If Netflix wanted his appearance, all they have to do, Justin Timberlake can come in for like a day, they can scan him and then just put him in a movie. Justin Timberlake doesn't show up for a day, he doesn't get the paid full amount or doesn't get the full, actor's experience, so, it's like they're trying to figure it out, and I get it, because we live in this postmodern day and age. Sorry, my dog is trying to make an appearance. But
I mean, it's been a frustrating time for everybody involved at this point. Besides, no sympathies for the corporations, of course, for not paying their people what they're accordingly worth. So, but it's a good breakthrough, at least in this terms. It makes it at least hopefully this can be used as a template for, because these contracts are only 3 years long, so you can already see 3 years from now how much of a Wild West AI is right now. There's no way to predict what it'll be like in 3 years. So I'm hoping they can use this agreement as a template for that, or they can try to avert, another strike 3 years from now to make it so this isn't a recurring thing that happens all the time, because nobody wants this, obviously, especially not the writers or people that enjoy what the writers do like us.
Yeah, I mean, no one has to repeat a strike, it's just, the streamers following up and saying, okay, we'll still agree to these terms. Maybe we'll do some updates that make people happy, and, because then they lose out on jobs and streaming times like this. Because I noticed, if you weren't like a Amazon or Hulu or Netflix, you really didn't have a great summer of releasing newer content. I realized, I mean, how much content were released this summer that wasn't like of the 3 major streaming platforms, like Paramount didn't even release a single thing. I can't even, from what I recall,
I think I'm pretty glad that it happened because, it got the writers and the actors like good idea of like how much the big corporations screw you, because a lot of these people signing into these contracts don't really know what they're getting in for. And then a lot of this stuff was revealed of like how the fine print is and what they're actually taking away. I think like where it really won me over was when I think it was A24 and Blumhouse, or maybe it was just A24, that they agreed to everything. Like one of the smallest studios kind of just like said, yes, we'll do it. And that kind of really put perspective, like, okay, these indie studios can actually accept all the conditions. So what's stopping the big guys from doing it? And I think that was a really good step. And I'm really rooting for A24 now, because that has become like the studio to follow, because they're bringing indie movies back. And I really am so happy. Them and Blumhouse, like these two, I love following that trajectory. And what I'm looking for in this 3-year contract, what I really hope the corporations or whoever's controlling, I hope they realize that they can't replace the human element of this. Like you're saying, Kristen, like you're using AI, but it's not going to replace you. You still need to be there. But all the stuff that's admin based can be done. Like you can do your stuff a little bit quicker. But even just using AI for what I do, it still needs a lot of guidance right now. And that's where we'll come in. That's where the creatives come in. You can't it can't generate art at this stage, I feel.
Yeah, you can't replace the human brain creativity with AI.
Yeah, that's like life experience that's coming out, right? So AI will not have that, which is just so I'm curious. I'm gonna keep following it. We'll see how this plays out.
Yeah, everybody is, Mac. Quickly moving you into your thoughts before we talk about what else everybody's been watching.
Yeah, no, I agree with what Dean said. Like it is kind of it's both like very good and damning to see that the little studios like A24, Blumhouse, which their quality's being varied, but I do agree that they do have a good mindset of like, hey, we're gonna give these like little guys a shot. And like, the big corporations like, well, we want money, so we're not gonna pay them as much and everything. But I definitely think it is something where they can use this deal as a template. So because in my perspective, me being 23, I've only been that I remember 2 strikes, the 2008 one and then this one. And I think this one may be the most damning because the other one was a bit bigger, like it had a little bit more ripple effects. So this one is probably like the most, like, now that I'm aware of it, it does feel like the most impactful because I had never seen both the Actors Guild and the Writers Guild go on strike at the same time. And then seeing the ripple effects with like, animators maybe going on strike, the video game going on strike, automotive industry going on strike, like it's causing a ripple effect. And it's definitely a good thing for change. So we'll see what happens in a few years. So hopefully this can lead to maybe just calmer tensions and just make creativity flow.
I will restore the working man to his rightful glory. I will dismantle this oppressive establishment board by board. I will saw the tables of tyranny in half. Gnaw at the ankles of big business. Squidward will be so proud.
But let's talk about moving on from Toronto and seeing what these guys watched at Toronto. Hunter, Dean, tell us about what you've been watching and what has been your favorite film so far this year. Give us the details. Let's start with Dean.
Okay.
Hunter, you started out first. So, Dean, give us your thoughts on what you've been watching.
What I've been watching most recently, I'm trying to catch up. I don't know if y'all watch this anime called Bleach. So I think they just had. Oh yeah, there we go.
You're an anime fan, right?
I'm getting into it now, and I think One Piece really got me into it because I saw the live action.
Oh, that One Piece live action was so good.
Oh my god, I'm reading the manga now because I'm like, damn.
My cultured brother, welcome to the show.
Oh my god, yes. That's a well done adaptation because they did it so well that I'm so curious now to get into this and see this whole world. And I'm still in it. I'm still like the finale had me in tears. I'm like, oh, this is such good storytelling. So that's something I watched. Bleach, I think the latest season is coming in and the animation is amazing.
Oh my
god,
yeah.
Enjoying that. And I also saw, what did I watch recently? Oh, I guess best movie of the year, right? It's gonna be tough. There's Across the Spider-Verse, which is up there. Guardians of the Galaxy is also up there, as you can tell. Like I watched a lot of comic book films, so these two are like really up. And there's one I'm missing that isn't connected to superhero stuff, but kind of just wowed me. I don't know which one it was. Let me see if it'll come to me.
Barbie
and Oppenheimer, I kind of like them both. Nah, but Oppenheimer is like a one and done for me. I don't know if I can sit and continue to watch it because I just loved it in the moment, and I loved like the last like act really well. But it's like you have to really be patient. Same like a lot of Nolan's films, you got to sit and wait. So I enjoyed it for what it was. But like stuff like Spider-Verse and Guardians, it's like fun throughout. Like there was no moment where I'm like, oh, I feel like the pace went down. I was like, oh, there's something new I'm enjoying. What else? Barbie I enjoyed. Barbie I laughed. I think the most I laughed was at Barbie this year because it was like one of the best written. Like Greta Gerwig's writing is just, I don't know how she does it, where she takes something that's so, that means different things to different people, but she's able to find the common thread and just put it in her word. Like she did this, I think she did Little Women. I think that's the first movie of hers I saw. Yeah. And I just saw it because I had the AMC A list. So I was like, oh, I have like a free movie this month. What do I do? And that was playing. So I just went, and then it just wowed me. I'm like, oh, okay. This sold me. Like this like genre of film that I'm not interested in, but I'm like, oh, Greta kind of sold me on these characters and her writing. So Barbie's up there. That's kind of my rundown.
Well, after TIFF, I took I think a 2-week break from movies after that, which was medically prescribed at that point almost. Yes, but
very fair.
I have Killers of the Flower Moon is scheduled for next Monday. I'll be watching it. So I'm doing a
Nice.
I'm trying to tick off a few more Scorsese films that I have not seen yet. So I've seen, I think, almost all his big ones, like 15 of them, but I'm trying to get the ones I haven't. Like, I watched After Hours the other night, which was really great. I think it's a great comedy of just the most insane stuff is happening, and you're just along for the wild ride of it. I think I watched Mean Streets, unofficially his directorial debut. I think he had other ones before that, but nobody really remembers that. And I think it's not his best movie, but it's definitely where you could see everything is starting with him, especially with De Niro and Keitel. It's like you could see this was made in
It's early days.
1973. You're like, yeah, and you're like, okay, I could see this guy is already a genius, and obviously he proved us all right. So, and then I think I watched Bringing Out the Dead, which is the Nicolas Cage movie he's done, which is also crazy, but not as crazy fun like After Hours. It's pretty not depressing, but it's about a burnt out paramedic and a bunch of the horrors he sees in the life. Now he's just numb to it at that point, which is also lower tier, but lower tier Scorsese is still great. So it's nice to be catching up these ones that I've had on my watch list for years now, and I keep piling stuff on top of it. I'm like, I finally got to start picking away at these.
You know,
so it's
now
nice.
is the perfect time that you watched them.
Mhm.
So I just want to acknowledge that I'm excited about. I'm going to see Scorsese talk with Stephen Colbert for my
What?
local film
Oh, yes.
festival, and he's doing like
Lucky.
a whole like hour and a half.
Mhm.
Like, I talked to somebody and they said that like, oh, it's my friend Ian. Shout out to Ian if you're listening. He went to a panel at New York Film Festival, and he saw Scorsese talk, and he said it felt like he went to film school. So I am very excited to hear that
Wow.
conversation.
I noticed your film festival gets a lot of good stuff, especially last year and this year. You really
I am
got some good stuff going on
surprised
there.
about what I got tickets to this year. I had to cut down because of my upcoming wedding, so I mostly got everything that's like, you know, the highlight.
Mm-hmm.
So like I'm seeing Dream Scenario, which I'm very excited about.
Oh,
Did you see
interesting.
that yet,
Great movie.
Hunch? Did you see it?
Okay.
I did see it at TIFF. It's a very
Was
good
it
movie. I think
good?
it's unironically, I think it's Nicolas Cage's best performance in an unironic fashion, because he could be good in some bad ways, but this is him perfectly used, and I really enjoyed it.
Is
Interesting.
it as good
Good.
as Pig though?
I did really love Pig. It's true.
I love
keep forgetting
Pig.
Pig, but this is a different vein of Pig. This is Nicolas Cage going full crazy into in a smart way, in a smart vision.
Is it like Nicolas Cage wise, like Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent? Because we love that film here on
Yeah,
the
That was
show.
amazing.
Awesome.
That was amazing.
It is that in terms of just like fun, kind of off the rails kind of stuff going on, which is.
I don't think you can
which was a
compare Cage
nice
films.
thing.
They're all so unique
Honestly.
to him. It's
Yeah,
just
yeah.
there's no way. Like there's nothing similar. Like, it's just that's what I love about him. Just,
He's the actor who will never turn
Yes.
down a job, regardless of
Yeah.
how ridiculous the plot is.
Mhm.
And
I did see
love
his
that.
vampire one. He just did a Dracula one this year.
The Renfield, yeah.
Yeah.
That here too.
It's
I
good.
love
Okay, I will get
Renfield.
onto that. Okay, seems like a fun thing he's
Mhm.
doing.
I'm glad
Oh.
he's like at the point of his career where he like he was
Yeah.
like, because you guys know, I read apparently he left Hollywood because he was like, well, I really didn't really feel like I can be like a full actor, so that's why he did a lot of the straight DVD stuff. And I think like him going straight to DVD and like the video, that was like the best career move he could.
Yeah, he's
have done,
become a
because
cult icon.
yeah, because if he kept going like the whole like blockbuster movie and everything, because the last blockbuster movie he had before he went to like DVD was like Season of the Witch, and that was terrible. And
Oh
like
my god, yes.
did-
Oh
he's
my
done-
god.
like the stuff he's done on like the video, because I think one of the first ones I saw, I was like, okay, he's like good. His Mom and Dad, that's like one of my favorites. He's like open the door. He's like, Josie. I'm like, okay, I love it. And like
Mom
even
and
the ones he's terrible in, he is still like great. He's like the best part.
Yeah, it's fun to
like-
watch.
And I was so happy when he's made his comeback with Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent. I'm like, yep, he's back.
That movie does not get enough appreciation, but we love it here. But at my film festival, I'm seeing Eileen, which I just read the book for.
Ooh,
I'm
okay.
excited about that.
Wait, which film
Um,
festival is it? Just so I know.
This is the Montclair Film Festival, and I have like
Okay. Okay.
yeah. So this is like not too far from me, but great local film festival. They are showing. If any of you all know John Batiste, he worked with Stephen Colbert on The Late Show.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yes.
He won his Grammy for one of his albums.
He's
And the
amazing.
director of A Private War directed, John Batiste in a new documentary. So I'm going to go see that because there's going to be a Q&A with that. And I thought I was interested. But the other big ticket item is May, December. And Todd Haynes is going to be there. And I have like a front row seat. So I'm ready to also go to film school again and learn from Todd Haynes.
That'll be great.
When you go to film school for almost 7 years and you learn about Todd Haynes, and now you finally have the chance to sit and go like, oh my God, the man, I'm ready for that conversation.
Yes.
Give me something of his work. I don't know if I recognize the name.
Have you ever seen Safe with Julianne Moore?
Is that the Ryan Reynolds one?
No, Safe is a movie where like a woman is basically like isolated.
Oh, okay, yeah. Oh, that was Buried. I'm thinking about. Oh,
and it was released back in the 90s.
Oh, okay. I've heard that. I've heard of it.
Yeah, it's very good for someone. You learn it's a good
it's environment.
My worst fear,
like, oh my
Have
God.
you ever seen Carol?
No, I don't believe
Dark
so. Okay.
Waters.
Interesting. Are these like thrillers? I'm pretty curious. Okay,
yeah, a lot of them are kind of like thrillers, except for Carol. So I know like him and Kate Blanchett have worked a couple times, but yeah, this is exciting. So and May, December is a movie starring Natalie Portman and Julianne Moore. Did you see that, Hunter?
I did. I forgot to mention. I did see it back at Cannes. That was a really fun one to see there. I was not at the premiere, so I didn't get to see any of the cool people, but I still saw the movie.
Did you like it? Because I heard one person saw it. I'm not going to say who. And they thought the performances were good, but the movie was meh.
Yeah, it's not my absolute favorite, Todd Haynes, but he's like Scorsese, but I don't think he has a single bad film. So it's a good version. It's a Lifetime movie kind of, but done by a master of the crafts, which is fun. Which is really fun. The movie. It's one of those where I applauded them for not giving away anything before the festival premiere back in May, where I went in. I was like, this is way weirder than I thought it was gonna be, but I'm all in for it. So it's a good movie. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, I'm so excited for that because I am going to see those 4 movies. So, but Mac, what have you been watching?
I've been watching. We're going through a move right now, so I'm been all over the place. I was gonna go see Saw X, but I changed my mind just to hold it off for a little bit. I watched the new Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movie. That was pretty good.
Yes, I enjoy that.
I watched that Donald Glover show Swarm on Prime, which was interesting. As before we were recording, I was sitting down. We were watching that new animated show on Max called Young Love. That's a spinoff of the Hair Love show, or Hair Love short film from 2020.
Oh,
really good with Love Kid Cudi and everything like that. And I saw this new movie on Hulu. Is like the zombie movies based on an R.L. Stein book, and like freaking Chevy Chase and Dan Aykroyd, and it's so terrible. And like it's like the acting's bad, and like it's really just dumb. Like I don't know if it's supposed to be a kids movie or anything like that, but you know, and like my favorite movie of the year so far. I'm playing catch up right now, so I still got to see Across the Spider-Verse, and but I think it's a tie right now between John Wick 4 and like Oppenheimer, because Oppenheimer is just such an experience, and like I'm gonna watch it again just to see like the same, because I got a new TV, gonna get a new system in my room. I think it's like I want to experience it again with that setting, because I think Oppenheimer is just such a great film, and every time like I hate to do like the correcting thing, and I do that a lot, but like with Oppenheimer. There's one of my friends, she's gonna remain nameless. She's like, "Oh, it was just boring and everything like that." Well, I was like, "See, you don't get it. Like, you
I had that too.
Yeah, like you don't get it. You just don't get it. Like, you're not a Nolan fan. Like,
you don't get it.
You know, like you're not a history buff. Like, I'm a Nolan.
I also
fan.
don't like people who are comparing it to Barbie.
Yeah, no,
I really do that.
Oh,
they're different movies.
I was like, dude, I'm like, you know, one is literally like.
You can't be like Barbie's better. They're not the same.
No, both are so different.
Like I just think like Oppenheimer was just really great. Like I loved it, and definitely I mentioned in my review, I said Oscar watch and everything. But if it loses to Barbie, I will legitimately like punch my teeth out, because I know it'll probably happen. And I will mention.
I don't think you're alone with that. I think the mainstream audience will be happy if Barbie wins, but then like I feel like film fans. I mean, like Hunter, I gotta ask, since you're also a since you are a film person, would you be upset if Barbie won Best Picture?
I mean, it's I definitely preferred Oppenheimer over it, but I have no problems with Barbie winning anything. It's a good movie, and I'm happy that people are passionate about it, and that it would be happy for people to see it.
I was like, if you look at any other films that came out this year, like what other film besides like Barbie and Oppenheimer do you think could be nominated for Best Picture?
Well, that I've seen. The
Oh, go ahead.
holdovers would definitely be in there.
The holdovers, okay.
We still have others that are coming soon, so technically I'm averting from your having seen, but obviously Killers of the Flower Moon for the people who have seen it said it's going to be up there, or stuff like Maestro or Anatomy of a Fall is when I saw back at
I wanna
Cannes.
watch
That's
that
really
one.
great.
What about
So,
Napoleon?
Really good. Ridley Scott's very hit and miss in the Oscars right now. So
That's true, yeah.
I wouldn't bet on it, but it's one of my most anticipated movies of the year. I'm really looking forward to it.
I would love to see Fair Play be nominated for Best Picture.
Fair Play was really good.
Yes.
I
Or at least
loved
original
that
screenplay
film.
on that one. Yeah.
That is
Yeah,
true.
I agree
yeah.
with that. That or the the performances. I mean, I just watched that film as well and just loved it.
The last 30 minutes, I was just gripped. I just couldn't move. For Fair
Yeah.
Play.
Yeah.
But Mac, was
We
that
also
what you watched? Oh, sorry, Hunter. I'm so sorry. I
No.
don't mean to cut you off.
No,
Go ahead,
that's
go
fine.
ahead.
I had just forgotten I didn't mention Poor Things as well. That I'm a huge Yorgos Lanthimos fan, so I have not seen it, but everybody who saw it says it's amazing. So I'm exceptionally looking forward to it. And I think it'll also be nominated for Best Picture. So it's getting to be a crowded field, but a lot of great movies that people are really responding to. So that's always nice to hear.
Exactly. Mac, was that everything that you watched?
Yeah, pretty much. And I think it was the last podcast. I finally watched The Flash, and that was that was
Did you enjoy that ride?
I mean, it was a ride. I wanted to get off, but it was
powered through.
Yeah, someone told me that I did a review of Blue Beetle last month, August, and I did a meme with the Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent when Pedro Pascal and Nicolas Cage were looking at each other, and like the Flash's poor like ratings and like the Blue Beetle. Someone said the only reason Flash bombed was because Warner Brothers going through a bad time. You're a Marvel fanboy. I said, oh, thank you.
Oh my god,
that's true denial, right? Because the Flash is it's I don't know what movie like. They were hyping it up like this is the best superhero movie. I'm like, we must have watched like two different movies. I don't know what the hell I watched. Like, I lost it with Nicolas Cage as like CGI in a spider. That's when I was like, I love it.
The only important part that matters, and the only part I watched. I didn't watch it. I only watched the post-credits scene.
There was a post-credits?
Yeah, it was Aquaman. It was Aquaman being drunk, and it was even worse now because like none of the actors are back as their characters. Literally nobody. Jason Momoa is going to be the only person to come back as a different character, but everyone else is done.
Guy,
everyone else is done.
As that's what's being discussed, so we should just put that out there. Really quickly, what I watched was Fair Play, which was mentioned. That is definitely one of my favorite films of the year. Besides Oppenheimer and Guardians and Across from the Spider-Verse. Really love that. I watched Reptile. I was kind of disappointed with the execution of it. I mean, Grant Singer is not singer. Oh my gosh. Grant Singer is a director who did the Shawn Mendes documentary years ago with Sean, and that I thought was an okay documentary, and he's done like other stuff with musicians. So this was like his feature film debut, so I was like kind of curious, and I was kind of very invested with the trailer, and I was like, oh, how is this going to be? And then I saw the time length, even though that doesn't like stress me out. I saw it and I was just like, okay, why is this 2 hours? I better be hooked like a prisoner's type situation. What's going on here? And it's very a paint by the numbers thriller to me. And I was like, oh, this is gonna happen and this is gonna happen. And I watched it with my parents. My mom fell asleep halfway through, and then she woke up and she was like, she guessed immediately, and then what do you know, what happens in the end happens in the end, and we all weren't surprised. And my parents aren't like, they'll watch movies with me, but knowing that they knew what was gonna happen, I was just like, yeah, you're not missing much when my mom fell asleep. So and then also I learned as I was watching the credits, Benicio del Toro was one of the writers of the film. And I was like very upset because I was like, Benicio, you played a cop, or at least been in the cop field related thing. If you watch Sicario or been with the druggy stuff, like he's good. Like he can crack down on the crimes. He can do that. and he's very I did not like him as much as I did here, and especially with the writing that falls drastically flat. I mean, Hunter, did you see it?
Yeah, I actually saw it in Toronto. I think it was my second movie I saw there, so I at least saw it with some fresh eyes. And I also thought it was just okay. I mean, I think Benicio del Toro's good in it. I think it was weirder in some moments for, I don't want to say good reasons, but for a little refreshing reasons. But I don't think it had anything special about it, or if it came together all that well. It's definitely a movie I watched. I was like, this is a 6 out of 10 Netflix movie that I won't watch again or think about.
Yeah, or like I can't even recommend it and be like, you really want to see it for 2 hours?
Yeah.
Like I was really invested with Justin Timberlake's character, but I felt he was like underutilized. Like there was more to his character that you don't even see, I think. But then you just find out from like the details from like his mom or like, you know, stuff that's going on and stuff. So I felt like I was like, all right, anytime now this movie can conclude so we can get to the resolution. So yeah, so I watched that, and then I also watched Totally Killer, which that was just you know, meh as well.
I was like looking forward to that one. What about?
Yeah, not bad, but not great either. Kira Shipkin is probably the best part of that film, I will say. But then finally, I didn't get to watch Loki yet. I'm behind on Loki.
Oh, I like that. Loki's been keeping up.
Besides that, I'm watching Dancing with the Stars, which is like my guilty pleasure, y'all.
Get out of here.
You're watching Dancing with the Stars. Let me know what you think of Xochitl Gomez.
Get out.
We're not rooting for Lele Pons. Jamie Lee Spears already added the question, so if you're watching Dancing with the Stars, let me know.
Oh my gosh. We should move on to the topic.
All right, so that's what I've been watching. Yeah, we got to get into Jennifer Lawerence because that's the big thing that you two are here today. Are you ready? Are you two ready to talk about Jennifer Lawerence?
The first female action star?
Oh gosh.
Female actress.
Yeah.
Maybe for a generation, I guess, a certain generation.
You're
No,
trying to be
that.
nice about
Nah,
that.
before that,
Oh,
there
yeah.
was nobody before J-Law. When she did Hunger Games, there was no one else. We didn't have Sigourney Weaver. We didn't have Uma Thurman. There was only Jennifer Lawrence.
One Jennifer Lawrence.
What Lawrence under Hunger Games? I don't know.
No, there's a Jennifer. That means we forgot Jennifer Lawrence and Anaconda.
Don't want.
No, I mean Jennifer Lopez.
I was like, wait, what? I was like, wait, hold on.
Like,
Yeah.
I was like,
Fell into your own trap there.
Jeez.
Yeah, but today's episode we're talking about the career retrospective of one Jennifer Lawrence, who is on a hiatus. I believe she did one movie this year, which we'll get to, which is interesting. But yeah, she's had a very prolific career. She's had a lot of highs and a lot of lows. Mostly a lot of lows near the end. But you know, it's a pretty good career. But I'll ask this for everyone. I'll start with you, Hunter. What was the first Jennifer Lawrence film you ever saw? Like, what was your exposure to her?
I mean, it would have to be probably The Hunger Games because it came out and the books were incredibly popular right around middle school, junior high for me. And it was so popular that even like a Friday during the day, they rented out the movie theater local ones and had all the kids go to the theater and watch the movie on opening day. So they literally, that's how big it was. It was like Avengers level for our school.
Wait, how old were you guys?
I was probably what year did it come out? I have it right here.
2012.
It came out 2012. So I would have been about 13 years old around that time. So I had read the books because they were hugely popular in our school library and stuff. So that's probably the first one I had seen her in. Which is about when she started making her bigger movies as well. So it kind of lines up. So that's kind of what I like about it. She's been a star about the same time I started watching movies and everything about that.
I think it was Hunger Games, but then I'm realizing it wasn't the most memorable because I wasn't as much into Hunger Games. So I watched it because I was watching everything back then. But I think it was really the X-Men series where she's in the best X-Men movie, which is the First Class, where she plays Mystique. And she was pretty good in it. I liked her character quite a lot, and she did a lot of commitment to the role because she had like 3 hours of makeup just to, look all blue all the time. So respect on that. But that's what I'm saying. So I think the first movie I did see her was The Hunger Games. The most first time I was like memorably, I remember her was from First Class, and then she's holding her own against like James McAvoy, Michael Fassbender, and I think this was the time when all of them were kind of starting out. Like they hadn't become big stars yet. They were kind of just being discovered by at least Western Hollywood audience. So it was fun. That movie was really good, and she kind of held her own against all these other people. So yeah,
I was gonna say X-Men First Class too, because I'm like, oh, who's this chick? And she was pretty entertaining in it. And then with history from there, and I just knew her as like Mystique. So every time I saw her for a time, I'm like, oh, that's Raven from almost the Teen Titans. Or that's Raven from X-Men.
Mine is very interesting.
Oh,
So
God.
I've as well got to know Jennifer Lawrence from X-Men First Class as well. But then around as like 2012 was like her year where she like popped off and was like in like so many movies. And then, she got the exposure of being like America's sweetheart, darling. She's like, I like pizza and football. She's like, oh, I starred in the Sweet 16, commercial. She was in, if you remember hearing her talk about Monk, where she was like a mascot. If you remember that, she used to go on
Yeah.
Presto. So like this was the time I was about like, let's see, in 2012, I was like between like a sophomore and a junior in high school. So like Hunger Games was the thing, kind of like going off what Hunter was saying. And then like I wasn't really fascinated with the Hunger Games. I did watch it when it came out like on DVD, but then like my sister and I started to really like Jennifer Lawrence. So we had one day like a binge-a-thon of like Jennifer Lawrence movies of like all the older projects she's in. So if you imagine like a 15-year-old and a 13-year-old watching Winter's Bone on a snowy day and the beaver.
What a dichotomy.
Yes. And that was the year. And I went to go see her in Silver Linings Playbook. That was my first theater going experience. And I think that's her greatest role to date, I think. And I think it's hard to come back from that, from like looking at her filmography. Like as we were coming up with this idea, I was going through the filmography and thinking about what films I haven't seen. And, I was like, oh, I've seen just about every single one of these movies. And I was like, what is the best film to date? I was like, yeah, it's hard to capture what she did in Silver Linings Playbook. And, I do have a soft spot from like 2012. At House at the End of the Street is a good no, but I just find that film to be insanely
That movie.
You're not a fan. I mean,
that
I'm not a
movie
fan of that.
Sucks.
It sucks, but I just have a guilty pleasure for
Oh,
knowing
God.
how that film is.
That's the worst part when an actor or actress gets big. It's like they want to cast them in everything, and like I think at that time the actor's like, oh my gosh, I'm getting so many roles, and like at a point you should be like, it's just like, all right, so you're getting big, don't accept everything, because there's probably gonna be something like, no, I want to do this, let's do a horror movie, and then I'm like, oh, that's the funny part. This isn't even like the worst horror movie she's been in. There was another one that came out in 2015, but we'll get to that later. I don't even call that horror. It's a thriller.
Thing.
My mom said she didn't want us alone.
We're not really alone. Promise me you won't tell anyone.
House at the end of the street.
I'm gonna say this. I'm going back in. The film was announced in 2003.
Oh my God, that's a 90s.
And then there were 7 years until production hit, until
Jeez.
2010. So this film was filmed in like 2010. So if you figure in 2010, she already filmed. I'm looking at her Wikipedia and IMDb page. She was at least had finished. This is around the time of The Burning Plan and Winter's Bone. So she was just starting to get acting, credits from there. So to be fair, you can take the actor can get one starting out. So
it's like Chris Hemsworth when he did Cabin in the Woods in like 2009.
But that's a better movie.
That's true. Yeah. It's just like that weird timing of like, damn, why'd you wait this long to release this?
Yeah, that's the studio's fault.
That's true. Yeah. But I guess we should probably discuss, like, break this down and like let's talk about some of our favorite Jennifer Lawrence movies first. Positivity first. So I mean, I guess I'll start. Like I could say that the first Hunger Games, I will say I do like the first Hunger Games. There's something about it where like the YA genre wasn't, dumb as it later got, because I think the crescendo of that was Divergent, but we'll get to that in another date. I like Hunger Games. I like X-Men, Days of Future and Past, and First Class. And First Class is definitely the best X-Men movie since the second one, probably at that time. And then Silver Linings Playbook I thought was really good. I feel like in an alternate timeline, Bradley Cooper liked her performance so much. He was like, "Hey, do you want to be in A Star Is Born?" So in an alternate timeline, we got Jennifer Lawrence in A Star Is Born instead of Lady Gaga. But and then, hey, maybe she would have been Harley Quinn and the Joker too. But that's a Mandela effect. It's a butterfly effect. I also did enjoy what's another? I'm trying to think. Let me look at her IMDb real quick because I had it off the top of my head. But yeah, I say X-Men, Silver Linings Playbook. Where is the filmography? Oh, here we go. I liked her in American Hustle. That was pretty good.
American Hustle is really good.
And don't get me, and this is gonna be controversial because when I was thinking about it, I was like, it's gonna be my worst movie. Soft spot. I liked her in Mother.
Mother is the most subversive studio film in decades. Some people love it. Some people don't. But no one can stop talking about Mother. Experience it for yourself. Now playing rated R.
I mean, I don't love Mother.
I don't like Mother either, but I thought she did well. I thought it was a little too Darren Aronofsky-ish, but I liked her performance. It's not a great movie, but I think she gave a pretty decent performance.
You said you wanted to start with positivity. Unfortunately, the figure she's most known for starring for, Deodora Russell, is not a figure of positivity. But I do enjoy all three movies. Even then too, but I enjoy all three movies she's in. David O. Russell movies she's in, which was crazy. She went from Hunger Games to immediately 3 straight big Oscar vehicles. But I like that all 3 of the movies she's in show a different aspect of her. Where it's Silver Linings Playbook, it's a co-lead with Bradley Cooper,
right?
And they both play off. They got great chemistry. She can be kind of funny, crude, heartbreaking. She can kind of run the whole gamut. But then when you go to American Hustle, she's like a big supporting player that steals the scenery, where they're kind of over the top performance, but she can be part of a large cast. And then when you get to Joy, she is the one lead of the whole movie. So she is now taking all the energy, and she can really lead a whole movie, which we obviously knew for our blockbusters, but this is another layer to that. So I like all those for different aspects of the movies. And I didn't say anything right when you said it, Mac, but I think my favorite performance is Mother for her. And I actually really like Mother. So I think that is her best performance in one of the better movies she's been in because of the absolute insanity of it. I do understand why people don't like it, obviously, or like that, or even if they don't like it, they have to fall in the middle of it. There's total reasons for that. But I think it is incredibly assaultive and overbearing movie to its point, and I think she handles it well and just keeps you captivated the whole way throughout it.
Do you remember the press tour she was on, and she talked about like the world, like, it was like this election period, and she went like on this time day, and everyone was like, what is Jennifer Lawerence talking about? Do you remember that, Mac?
Yeah.
I was just like, why is Jennifer Lawrence talking about this?
It was so weird to describe Mother, because I was a sophomore in high school, and I was just really starting, like, this was a few months before I started reviewing movies, and like I was like, oh my god, I love this movie. And like trying to describe it to my friends, they looked at me like I was smoking all the weed in the world. I'm like, I swear, this is what it's about. There's people in the house. She's Mother Earth. They're like, what the hell are you saying? And one of my friends, actually, he was convinced to go see it for me. And he's like, I'm never listening to you again. I hated that movie. I was like, that movie, it was fine. It's fine. You'll get it. You'll get it.
Oh, you'll get it all right. It's not subtle.
I think it's the most metaphorical Darren Aronofsky movie, like on the nose. Like, did you understand what I was saying here?
So yeah, my favorite. Yeah. So y'all covered a lot of them. So I think with Jennifer Lawrence, I'm thinking through her movies, and it's a lot of the ones that I like. She is just one of a really stellar cast. So with American Hustle or X-Men First Class, there's a lot of other actors, so she's really good at holding her own there. I haven't seen Silver Lining Playbook. I really want to. That is really high on my list. I think I'll bring up something that nobody's mentioned. I did like her in Don't Look Up.
Okay.
because she kind of does suit that. Because again, it's all really good actors she's working with, but she's also playing someone who is like this very normal, average Joe person, and she does that well. I like that she becomes this like psychotic person who just like she can't believe how the world is just so crazy. Nobody's listening, but everyone around her is just delusional. And she played that freak out really well. And I didn't think that she and Timothée Chalamet would kind of start something in that, but worked. Not, I mean, I wouldn't say the best in terms of acting. I think she was just kind of having fun there. She did a good job of just being this normal person, which I didn't think Jennifer. I don't think she's ever played like a normal person. Actually, we'll talk about it in Hard Feelings. But I haven't seen her really play just normal people. She's always played someone who has, been in a higher position or role, like with Mystique or with Hunger Games with Katniss. She's always someone who is stealing the show when she's on. But with Don't Look Up, she's just like someone you could just ignore, but still manages to come in. So yeah, just because nobody mentioned it, I'll bring Don't Look Up in there.
I forgot about that movie.
Yeah.
I
a lot of
rewatched it
people-
recently. It's weird when you watch it after things have passed. I think it came out in the height of when this chaos was happening, but now when you watch it like a year after that, you're like, oh, this is interesting. Adam McKay took a different direction there.
Adam McKay predicted the
Paquet.
future.
Oh,
Okay,
yeah.
excuse me.
Okay.
But moving
about you?
on to the worst of what Jennifer Lawrence has been in.
Everything post Hunger Games 3. I think that
Hey.
Don't Look Up, Mother. Everything was kind of that. Not joking. Well, half truth to that. There's some shit in my opinion.
Okay. But like, if you had to pick one performance, Mac, what is your least favorite?
That's hard, man. That is really hard because like there are some movies where I'm like, Jesus Christ, like what happened to you? Like I can't pick one. I gotta say multiple. So like Red Sparrow, that was just a way of like, let's just see Jennifer Lawrence naked. Yeah. Oh yeah. I was like, they marketed the movie like, oh my gosh, you're gonna see J Law's titties. That's gonna be crazy. I'm like, okay. Yeah, then like, oh my god, like I think the worst role was Passengers. Like, my god, like that movie that's the creepiest. When you look at the undertones, you're like, huh, it's a little bit creepy. And I just think that whole movie was just flat. Like her chemistry with Chris Pratt just was not. I didn't buy it at all, and I thought the ending was fine, but I just thought it was a little dumb. But that's just me. Red Sparrow and Passengers are probably like two of the worst movies she's done.
There's a reason we woke up early. Here we go.
Passengers on 4K Ultra HD Blu-ray and digital today.
Passengers is an interesting watch if you look back on it, because I know we've talked about it on the podcast here. I think Mac or you and I have talked about it in passing, with it, because Chris Pratt is also a major star. Like they both kind of rose up with their star power around the same time when Chris Pratt was Guardians, he was in Parks and Rec, he was with Anna Faris, he kind of like rose to fame around the same time she did. So when they both got casted, it was like kind of exciting to see these two be together. And like what was described, at least from what I remember, the advertisements, it was being called like a sexy space sci-fi thriller. And then poor whatchamacallit, what is it? Michael Sheen is there as a bartender robot. He's just like just there for the ride.
Jesus. I mean, it was in space. That's it.
And he just stalks and just wants to wakes her up and was like, well, I'm gonna love you, and I'm gonna, hypnotize you into loving me, and I'm gonna make you feel desperate for me, and all that caboodle, whatever happens. I remember seeing in the theaters and being like ultimately disappointed of like how its execution.
And watch on theaters.
Yeah.
You dodged a bullet.
Okay.
Hunter, your least favorite Jennifer Lawrence film?
Well, at least I don't think she's ever really done a bad performance. I don't think. I mean, there's definitely a range of them, but I don't think she's been bad. But I think the worst movie she's definitely been in is Dark Phoenix, which is
God.
Fair
Yeah, that
enough.
was
Not
mine too.
her fault full away. I think that movie has so many problems. It's a lot of these
Mhm.
things she's been in where you look at her career, she's like filmed this movie, but then it got delayed or moved, and there's something in between. That's the one thing with Dark Phoenix, where like it's filmed in like 2017 or whatever, and then they had reshoots again, and then it comes out and it's really, really bad, and it's just like, and then I'm not even care about spoilers because why are you watching this movie if it's already clear she dies
Yeah,
in this,
it's
and you can definitely feel even by X-Men Apocalypse you could feel that she didn't really want to be in these anymore, and I
no.
couldn't totally blame her, but by Dark Phoenix it had been like when they were filming it had been 7 years since First Class, and it's like okay
Jesus.
she's kind of over this now, and then
Yeah.
it's definitely you're like when she died midway through you're like well at least she got the good way out of this movie. She just
She
didn't keep
died.
going, so
She died. She could escape from this
it
hellhole.
died.
Even
Yes.
though Bryan Singer has done many awful things as that has come to light, X-Men Days of Future Past is also really good. I will acknowledge that.
Yes.
But
Well, Hunter, it's funny you said that like she was already done with it. Like you could already tell in like Apocalypse, like she wasn't even like in makeup for half the movie. She was already mentally checked out. She's like, I'm done with this.
Yep,
Like
yep.
I
Yeah.
like damn, she was not. She was mostly just Jennifer Lawrence in the 2nd movie.
Which, based on the filmmaking in Apocalypse and Dark Phoenix, I'm like, well, maybe she read the writing on the wall. It was just like, you know what, these aren't even going to be good movies. Because obviously, First Class and Days of Future Past are great, and she's one of the reasons why they're great. So it's unfortunate that the next two were just not good and are merely blips now in her filmography. You're like, oh yeah, she did 4 X-Men movies. That's crazy.
Yeah. 2 good ones and then like, mediocre and
Cool
one bad
one.
one.
And there's also the same can be said for films with Bradley Cooper, where it's Silver Linings Playbook and American Hustle, and then they don't have a ton of time and joy, but they do 3. And then there's this other one I keep looking at called Serena that they did
I'm
together.
going to talk about Serena.
Okay, so I have not seen it. I have
I've
no
never
idea
heard
if
of it.
anyone's even seen this movie in the world, but it's like that. It's another trivia question. It's like, how many films with Bradley Cooper and Jennifer Lawrence together? You're like, oh, they've done 3. Like, no, they've done 4. And it's like, what?
Yep.
So obviously, if you've seen it or want to talk about, it, please do, because I've only heard terrible
Serena.
things about it. So it's like curious, but I'm not that curious.
Serena is something else.
Interesting.
Dean, before I say my
Okay.
piece.
So I'll continue, but I'll say like even if like Jennifer Lawrence is like a good actress, so even if the movie's not good, you can usually tell she's giving it what she can. She's trying to be what she can, and that's kind of why I'm gonna go with Dark Phoenix too, because you can really see that she is not in it. She's just like she just has given up, and it's just fair. Like it's just kind of like, why am I here? Why am I doing this? And the irony is that you didn't even like need her. Like the X-Men had reached that point where people knew what they were and they knew these movies. So it's like, and you're not going to see it for Mystique anymore. It's like if you had taken her out, if you had recast it, it would have been like fine. I don't think anybody would have really cared. And I think she was trying to get that too. She just like through Apocalypse and Dark Phoenix, she like just get me out. Like you don't need me. Mystique isn't even that big a character like prior to this, so it's just because of her she kind of made that character so iconic, but it became her downfall too, because then they kept asking her to come back. She didn't want to come back, and then you can really see in her performance like she's like, I don't want to be here, just kill me. And then the director, I don't know if you all hear, the director kind of spoiled the death of her like 2 weeks before the movie. The director gave it away, and then people are like, why? That's the one thing in that movie people might be shocked by, and then it's gone. So yeah, I would say Dark Phoenix. So just like it's a movie that I just cannot like. Usually I can find good in most movies. But Dark Phoenix is just like I saw it in theaters. I couldn't sit through it. I'm like, this is the most saddest ending to this franchise. Like now that they're gonna reboot X-Men again, but like I wish they had gone a little bit with a bang, gone completely crazy, done something so different, kept Jennifer Lawrence out of it. But because she's in that movie, that's kind of the one I'll pick.
The worst part is like X-Men even went out worse because New Mutants came out after that.
Yeah, I just kept sliding. It started out so good. It was like one of the only ones. And then I was like, yeah.
Were you excited for
that? Was my first movie in theaters since like COVID happened, and I was like, damn. I'm glad I'm back in theaters. I'm glad I'm back in theaters, but not for this.
God, remember that?
They'll reboot it in like a couple of years.
Remember I remember that the first trailer for New Mutants came out in like, what was it, 2019? And then like I was like, oh my gosh, it's gonna be a dark horror movie. They got pushed back like 5 times.
Yep.
And it was like, hey, New Mutants is coming out. Like, wait, what? Like, what is it? It's like
the whole movie.
It was so slow and boring.
oh my god, yeah.
Yeah.
All right, so Kristen, what the hell is Serena?
Okay. All right. First, I'm just gonna mention that Dark Phoenix has the right to be bad because first of all, it's directed by the incredibly untalented Simon Kinberg.
Heard about
who
him,
is
yeah.
known for like producing and then also directing. So and I was thinking about it recently back and I was like I saw in theaters A Haunting in Venice and he was one of the producers and I was like, well, this makes sense while he's a producer of
You mean the
And-
great
and I was
director of
looking
the 355?
Yes,
Oh,
the astounding director of the
yeah.
355s,
Yeah.
the ultimate female assassin movie, whatever bullcrap.
Oh, I
that
forgot
was.
about that movie.
Yeah, it was
Just
garbage.
came and went.
Yeah,
It
I'm
was
guessing he might have pitched it to
garbage.
Jennifer Lawrence as
Oh,
well
definitely.
on Dark Phoenix.
Yep.
She walked away and said no.
I'm done.
Unfortunately,
Gotta
Jessica
hold-
Chastain was on the set, and he pivoted to her, and she didn't say no.
She
So,
just saw our target for being like, oh, if we can create an action movie, let's do it.
Yes.
yeah.
But on another note,
This guy's
I'm
such a
looking
mixed
at
bag.
these. They're not just. He's not just a mixed bag. He's one straightforward bag, and it's not.
Oh,
great.
no, he's got the
he did
Martian
re-
on his list. He's got like
That's
some
what he's
decent stuff.
produced. I will give him credit. He's got
Oh,
some
okay,
good
produced.
producing.
Okay.
He can be a good producer, not a director. I don't think.
Or a
No.
writer. Okay, looks like the ones he's written or
He
not.
did.
Okay,
He did write Days of Future Past. So he gets one notch there, but
one
it's,
there. Okay,
it's one against a lot.
everyone
so
gets
it's-
everyone gets
Yes.
one.
You get that one. I was like, I won't
Okay.
totally crucify you yet because you wrote
Yeah.
that.
He's got another movie upcoming that with Dave Bautista coming up, and I don't know how I feel about
Oh,
that.
he wrote
So,
Fan Four
yeah.
Stick. Oh my god.
Yeah.
Ooh.
But anyways, moving into this, I would have to say post Joy is when I think her career just kind of dwindles down for me, at least in terms of exciting roles, at least where I was like, okay, she's gonna get her Oscar again,
Mhm.
she's gonna get nominated, she's gonna do, the whole kit and caboodle, and I was like, okay, Mother, not I didn't love. Okay, Red Sparrow. Okay, everybody forgot about that. Dark Phoenix, nobody cares. Don't Look Up. Okay, that was a whole other thing that I didn't like. Causeway, as boring as shit. I will say
Aw.
I did not like
Causeway's
Causeway. I
great.
was so
Uh,
I was so disappointed with Causeway. And then No Hard Feelings was just, fun, satisfactory. It's just fine. But she's not gonna. I don't see her. She's not gonna get an Oscar for that. Just saying. If she does, good for her. But I will say her worst performance. She's not a terrible actress. I just will say though that the worst film she's been in is Serena. And if you haven't seen
Ooh.
Serena, you are in for a treat. And I only know about this film because this was the during the time where I was really into, I was talking about it earlier, where my sister and I were really into Jennifer Lawerence. And during this time, I used to love reading book adaptations that were being turned into films. So it was announced that Serena was going to be one of them. I still have the book to this day. I read this in high school, and the stuff that goes on in this book, I just can't even comprehend that I read this in high school for knowing myself. And it's a set in the Depression era of North Carolina, and Bradley Cooper and Jennifer Lawrence star in this movie together, where there's so much infidelity. It's like unspeakable what Bradley Cooper does. It's like, I will say he does have a kid with another woman, and he has this affair, and you're not missing much. It is a slow burn of a book, slow burn of a movie. I remember watching this on Tubi because I was trying to find ways to see this, and I had to see it a year later after Magnolia Pictures released it.
Oh my
I was about to say, I was
like
like,
a Warner Brothers.
it's like I was about to ask if you saw it in theaters because I would have given you a trophy
No.
because you'd be the only person who ever.
I
did
would have
that.
been that one person, if you remember years ago, where that one person went to go see that Shia LaBeouf movie in theaters. If you all remember that, there was one person years ago. I would have been the same thing with that Jennifer Lawrence and Bradley Cooper movie. So yeah, I saw that, and I remember being ultimately disappointed, and I was just like, why did I waste my whole junior year picking out this book and being like, oh, this is gonna be great, and It was something. It is something.
God.
And just alone how the movie ends is like, well, it's Jennifer Lawrence and Bradley Cooper. It's like, you're better off spending your time watching all the David O. Russell movies that they're in together. Don't
Yeah.
even bother with Serena, because Serena is something else. I did not like anything. It's like the thing is, they still have that chemistry there. I will not deny that there is still chemistry between the two of them, but just the whole whole thing is not great. And this movie, I forgot looking it up, and I'm looking at it now based on the Wikipedia page. This movie had an astonishing, and I will say that nicely, between a $25 to $30 million budget, and this movie made $5 million at the box office.
Did they blow that budget on
Made more-
cocaine or something?
Oh my word.
Yeah, and they did something. And this film this is going back to Darren Aronofsky. He was originally set to direct it with Angela Jolene.
Jolene?
Excuse me. Jolie. I can't talk today. So yeah, that is something. At least those two dodged a bullet with that one.
This was literally in their peak, like after Silver Linings and American Hustle. This and then it suddenly tanked so bad. Oh wow.
Yeah, if you want to see something rare, go watch Serena.
I feel like I saw like a trailer for it, and I was like, oh okay, and I forgot all about it. Like I don't remember this at all.
Blank it out.
Yeah,
Something, yeah.
It's a blank movie. It's like going back to Reptile. You're gonna forget you even watched it.
So did no one else?
Sad to say.
Did no one else watch Red Sparrow?
I don't.
I think
so.
I think Red Sparrow's an okay movie.
I mean,
it's again like a 6.5 out of 10. I enjoyed it for its darkness almost, but you are right in how it was marketed was a bit gross, I guess is one way to put it. But I think it's her going hard action in terms of rated R obviously, and as opposed to the PG-13 of the Hunger Games and X-Men movies, it proves that she can be an adult lead as well. But I'm not gonna commend anybody or anything for it. It's right in the middle for me. It's like,
I'm trying to see if I remember this, because there are like 3 other movies that, like, Angelina Jolie did a movie like this. I think she did Salt, and then Charlize Theron did a movie like this, which is also like about us. Like they all had these weird like one spy thriller movies. So I'm pretty sure I saw Red Sparrow in that time, but I cannot remember. It's so similar.
It makes sense that they team out, because like the director of this is Francis Lawrence, and he worked on the Hunger Games films, and it just makes sense that they would re-team up. They were like, he was like, Jen, I need a favor. Can you just star in this movie for me?
Please,
she's like probably
money.
like, sure, but then she gets into the process. She's probably like, what the hell do I have to do?
No, I gotta ask this real quick. Are you done, Kristen? Or you got more?
But I will say I like Joel Edgerton. I do like him as actor. He never gets enough credit.
No, God no. I loved him in The Thing 2011. I think that's a great movie. Kids will really hate it. Hunger Games.
If you haven't watched it, comes at night, go watch that.
Hunger Games.
They come at night. Okay.
I like the first one. What do you guys think about the sequels? Because I know a lot of people with like second one, it was fine, and like the part 1, part 2 were. And people still think the first one. I thought the sequels were pretty okay. Like I thought she was still like, because by the time the third movie, part 1 and part 2 came out, she was really at her peak. Like everyone was like, "We're gonna go see Hunger Games with Jennifer Lawrence." What do you guys think about the sequels for Hunger Games?
I'd say like I don't think they live up, because I think the first one really set the pace, and I think by the time it reached the sequels, I don't know if it needed a part 1, part 2. So I was like pretty comfortable with just like, okay, one nice trilogy there. I don't think it's the acting. I just think by that point for me, I waited long enough and the story had evolved past my interest. So I just watched it because, Jennifer Lawrence, and I just wanted to see how it ended. Yeah. And I don't think I have anything like negative against it. I think it was just in the time I enjoyed it, but it's something now. I think maybe when the new Hunger Games comes out in a month or so, maybe I'll go rewatch it and I'll have different opinions just to see.
I think they're all fine, competently made. I think they actually benefit from being compared to the other YA movies at the time, like the Maze Runner series, Divergent. I guess Twilight was a little before because it just ended right around Hunger Games. Obviously, Harry Potter stands at the peak for that. But I think they're all fine movies. I have no big problems with them, but I also will probably never rewatch them, and I'll probably just read the Wikipedia pages before I go see the new Hunger Games movie in like
It is a prequel,
a
so
month here. Yeah,
might not need
just
to.
to make sure I catch up.
But still, like, who was like, man, I really want to see another Hunger Games movie after like what? There's been almost like 10 years. Yeah, like I'm like, man, I really got to see the new Hunger Games. Like, dude, I thought the Hunger Games peak had ended. Like, I thought we were done. And like,
There's, I will say, there's a meme going around that describes my high school, my time as being a high school like time, and it's the Taylor Swift 1989 album, and then the Hunger Games, and then it's like 10 years later, and it was like, the inner millennial is like being awakened, and it's like, with the Taylor Swift re-release of 1989, and then the Hunger Games are coming out. I was like, oh my god, this is my sophomore junior year again.
Dude, I swear, I remember in high school.
28.
In high school, there was like
grown into a shell.
In a high school, there was like a ton of like YA now because like it was Hunger Games 2, it was Hunger Games 2, and then the part 1 and 2. It was Divergent. Maze Runner was the one that took over my school, which I was shocked because I thought Maze Runner sucked, but then I got older and I'm like, okay, this is actually really good. Then The Host was another one, which was horrible.
Oh yeah,
The Host, that was also Stephanie Meyer. That was also garbage.
Does Mortal Engines count? I think Mortal Engines came in. I don't know if that's the same.
Mortal Engines came,
Yeah,
that's the
I
same
remember
thing
that.
with Lily Collins.
Dean,
Oh my god.
You just unlocked the memory because I completely forgot about that movie. And I was like, you said Mortal Engines, and I
Yeah.
oh,
I can't play. I don't know when that came out.
I think it was like 2018. Was it like the director said I covered her face because she was ugly, the main lead? I'm like, damn, okay, Jesus Christ! Like, I remember.
Oh my god, really?
Yeah, I think that was who. I don't know who directed it, but apparently there was like rumor like the reason why they had her face covered is like they thought she was ugly. I was like, damn, okay. Like, I mean, that movie sucked anyway, but I was just like, dang, that's a little messed up. But like, dude, I was just like, I'm trying to think. Like,
The most I've seen of that movie is the trailer.
Me too. I was like,
Jamie Campbell was in that movie. Let's take a reminder of that. And that man went to go on to be in Stranger Things and being one of the most popular people from that series now.
So we went from high art to higher
people.
art.
Jeez.
Like, I don't know. Like,
But that reminds me, I just want more original stuff now. I'm so tired of them going back.
Same.
Like you said, like nobody wants the Hunger Games thing. Let's see who watches it. But they're not. Like they're giving us Wonka now as well. I don't know how I feel about that. I don't know if anybody wanted a Wonka prequel. And I don't know if anyone's seen The Creator, but that's kind of on my list because it's been like a new original movie that's kind of gaining attention. So I don't know.
I want to see that.
But yeah, I'm kind of done with them rehashing. Yeah. I want to go on theater and watch it because I think that's where it's supposed to be seen.
Damn.
What was I going to say? During this time, that as we're mentioning all these YA novels, I'm like thinking back because I was like talking to my mom the other day and she's like, you graduated from high school like 10 years ago, and I'm going, oh crap. And I was like thinking about all these movies because Mac and I are going to be doing a watch along, which we'll name it the title of soon. And it's just like, oh my god, I saw this movie 10 years ago in theaters. Like, what the hell?
Dude, the year
Lies, especially. Oh my god, it's just so weird.
I graduated high school 5 years ago, and I remember the movies that were like big, was like Avengers, Infinity War, into the Spider-Verse. Like 2018 was such a year. I think it was
Deadpool came out.
Deadpool 2, Ready Player One, the most sort of. Is anyone a fan of Ready Player One?
I don't mind it. I enjoy it.
Not really.
I'd like that movie is so like.
I'm not as connected to the source material, so I don't mind.
So I will say I watched the movie, and my best friend who's listening to this, hi Rose, she read the book, and like I love the book. I think the book's actually better and more tight than the movie. I read the sequel book.
I've heard the book is nice. Yeah.
The sequel book is hot ass. Like it's so bad. Like the only reason it was made is because the writer was like, well, I helped Steven Spielberg make the first movie, so they inspired me to make the second book, because he was already writing the second book, but then working on the movies like, all right, and then it's so rushed, and then they're gonna adapt it into the second movie. I'm like, you're doing another movie? Like, I mean,
okay.
Yeah, it's definitely, I love Steven Spielberg, but it's definitely the one of his movies he's made like the last 20 years. So I'm like, oh yeah, he made that movie. I forgot about that.
I remember they hyped it like
that's unfortunate.
Speaking of like young adult, though, I think we forgot Chronicles of Narnia though.
Oh my gosh.
Oh.
Chronicles of Narnia came and went so quietly. I didn't see the last two of those. I felt it
Yeah.
should be. But the first, I really like the first one and maybe the second one. I enjoyed that quite a bit.
I miss the
Oh.
Chronicles of Narnia. That was
I
definitely
hear drums.
what.
Yeah,
Oh, so that was definitely one of the and Spiderwick Chronicles too. Give a shout
another
out to
one
them.
in that era.
Well, I think they got overshadowed by
Nice little deep cut.
like Harry Potter and Twilight because it's like those were two juggernauts and
Mhm.
everything else kind of like fell to the wayside. Because how many of you
Yeah.
remember the Golden Compass?
Oh yeah,
That was like released back when I was like in grade school.
it's made on HBO, right? Like I think HBO made a show about it. I can't remember.
I don't.
Yeah,
Did
they
Did
did.
they
It
make-
was like part of like
Dark
Lin-Manuel
Materials, yeah.
Miranda.
They,
Yeah.
they made a
Materials.
show because I know it ended on a cliffhanger and they're like coming back for part 2 and there was never a part 2. Kind of like how the
They did 3 seasons for his Darkest Materials.
His Dark Materials, yeah.
Oh, okay. I know that what was it? Divergent 2. They ended on a cliffhanger. They never did the third movie.
Yeah,
I was like, Jesus Christ.
nobody cared.
Good, yeah.
At
Jeez.
least Jennifer Lawrence was able to complete her series, unlike Shailene Woodley. But you know,
She
Well, it's
has
like-
2 franchises with 4 movies in it. That's so interesting.
Oh my
X-Men
God,
and
yeah.
Hunger
Mhm.
Games.
Do you think they're gonna try to give her like Katniss? Well, what's the timeline for the new Hunger Games? Like, how many years does it take place? Because this is like what the 70th annual games or the 20th in the new movie?
I don't know.
I can't recall.
Well, it is a prequel, so she technically doesn't exist yet in
Okay.
these movies.
What if it like my name is something Everdeen? It's like her great grandmother or something. Like, oh
They
my
could
God.
have somebody. There could be somebody with the last name Everdeen. I wouldn't be shocked if that's some
Easter
final
egg.
line in one
Like
of
a
the movies. Yeah, Easter egg.
Baby Jennifer Lawrence, like they get like a
No.
baby, like young actress to be like a young Jennifer Lawrence character, young Katniss.
I want to tell you about the Hunger Games initiative.
Like I don't know anything about the Hunger Games Songbird movie. Like
Yeah.
is it necessary though to have this movie come out? I don't think so.
I mean, I think they're thinking nostalgia is hitting at the right time, but
Yeah.
I mean, it
I mean,
hasn't.
it's true.
I mean, it
They're
hasn't really
testing the
been.
waters.
Yeah, because I'm like, a lot of people who saw the last Hunger Games are probably around like 13, 14, and now they're like 23, 24. So I don't know if maybe the nostalgia is like hitting now. 'Cause, I mean, like, if Hogwarts Legacy did really well in
Yeah.
games wise, so I'm pretty sure they're like, okay, so the nostalgia for Harry Potter is still there. So that's why they're gonna do, the new movies and everything. Yeah.
We're in this weird era where they're trying to test out which nostalgia sticks for the next 10 years. So they're just trying to throw everything at us and they'll see, okay, which one makes money. That one's gonna. So I guess Willy Wonka is also part of that.
Mhm.
And I guess there's a bunch more. Like this year
I'm
and the
not
last
ready
have just
for
been, like, nostalgia
Wonka.
stuff. Yeah.
Well, that's the thing with Wonka too, because if you think about it, that's like there's 2 different groups with Wonka. You got the ones from the Gene Wilder one in the 70s, and they're like,
Yeah.
what, they're in like their 60s now.
The purists, I guess.
Yeah, there's a period. And then you got the ones like for the 2005 Burt movie, they're like almost like 25, 30.
Yeah.
That's
everything-
my age group.
Yeah,
you,
yeah. So
Matt.
I'm like, who is this? I'm thinking, I'm like, so who is this appealing to? Is it gonna appeal to the original one or the Burton one? Because there is a
Yep.
big camp between people who defend the original one and the ones who defend the Burton one. So it's like
You
big
are
divide.
forgetting though. There is a Timothy Chalamet group, so there will be people who will just watch it for him,
that's
Yeah.
not
true,
knowing who Wonka is. So he'll just bring people in. And I think that and Dune were supposed to happen around the same time, but Dune got pushed. That would have been a very
Yeah.
big
deal.
closing of the year for
Double
him. Yeah.
Timothée Chalamet watch along.
Can't
But,
skip him. It's just there.
But I think to wrap up the Jennifer Lawrence segment, I think we should probably talk about her last movie that came out in theaters.
Yeah.
Hard Feelings.
Did anybody go see that? I know Hunter, you did, right?
Unfortunately, it's actually the only Jennifer Lawrence movie I have not seen. the
Really?
last
I
few
thought you
years, so I have
did.
not seen. No,
Yeah.
I am not a huge. Not. I wouldn't say not a fan, but it doesn't speak to me or get me super interested the raunchy comedy or anything like
Oh,
that.
okay.
And I'm
Yeah,
glad
no
it's back,
worries.
and I'm glad that stars like Jennifer Lawrence can showcase their comedic chops in a movie like that. But it's personally not something I'm super interested in.
Do you think
Yeah,
she
so-
probably talked to her friend Amy Schumer for some guidance?
No.
Well, based
I-
on what I've heard about her performance in the movie, I'm thinking she did quite well. I know a lot of people really liked what she has, and basing on her other comedic performance in the David O. Russell films, I definitely could see how she goes to a more heightened, broad comedy, and she could do it really well. I think she could have done it.
I mean, she's
know.
cute in the movie. I didn't.
She's
We
cute.
talked about it on the podcast. And
I
I
just
talked about going to see it in
Yeah.
theaters, and I just never did.
the concept is just like weird. Like
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean that's the part I was like uncomfortable with. Like I'm cool with like the raunchy comedies and stuff. I'm like, I mean, like you tell me this because I forgot how old was she in the movie? Like, did they establish the age?
32 or something.
So
Yeah.
a 32-year-old trying
something
to
like
15
around.
year.
a 32-year-old trying to seduce an 18-year-old. Like that's really creepy.
They
Like,
become more like friendly, but when I was watching
Yeah.
it, it's like she starts to fall for him a little bit in some scenes. Like
Mm.
there's like a dinner scene.
mhm.
Like Dean, did you watch it?
I did, yeah. I watched this
Yeah, I
weekend.
think
So
I saw
very
you
fresh.
post about it too. Yeah.
Yeah.
And like they go out to dinner, and it's like one of his friends that's like a girl comes up, and she kind of gets jealous.
She
And I was like, girl, he is 18, you're at 32.
Yep.
Sit down and
Yep.
just
Remember
do
why you're
what the
doing this.
parents. Just remember, there is a man your age out there.
Yeah.
Stop. So
I
you know,
mean,
like
if
So-
Jennifer Lawrence wants to get jealous for a girl talking to me, like I'm open for that. Just saying.
well, here's the thing here, Mag. You're of age. That child was not.
Listen, 8. No, forget. I'm not kidding. It's actually no.
Yeah.
I mean, no. I mean, I'm a no. Like, no. That is kind of weird though, because it's like I remember the whole because there was like a bidding war for that movie. If I'm not mistaken. Like studios were putting down money to get that, and I think Sony won the bidding war.
Mhm.
Hmm.
Because I forgot how much they got it for, but they got it for a lot of money, and I think they won it because she's an executive producer of this, right?
Yeah,
I
yeah.
think so. Yeah.
She enjoyed working on it, she said.
So
She
the
really had
question,
fun with it.
the question is like, is she's done for now? Like she's retired for a bit.
I don't think so. I think she.
Like a hiatus?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, she's
I'm
got
trying to
at least
see.
she's got at least 5 new projects lined up now. Some of these will probably
Ooh.
fall away, and some of these might not come out for 5-6 more years. But they're all with interesting directors, so I'm glad she's taking that route with her career.
Hmm.
She's doing like a
Uh,
little
where she
just
could, where she could do what she wants because she's got
Yeah.
Oscars, she's got
That's
box
true.
office money, she has power to do
Mhm.
that. Which
She
I'd
got
like to
enough
see.
money from the Hunger Games. So
Yeah.
really quickly, I know Hunter, you mentioned she's got 5 projects in the works, but I just wanted to acknowledge them really quickly. The first one is called Die My Love, which is a Lynn Ramsey movie, which Lynn Ramsey can do no wrong. I love Lynn Ramsey.
Hmm.
She's a great director, and I'm curious to see what the two of them come up with. The next one is Sue, a biopic of a super agent named Sue Meagers.
Mhm.
That will be, I think, very interesting. Then Burial Rights. This is probably going to be something. I already see murder in it. So
Hmm.
Jennifer
That
Lawrence
was
doing
by
murders.
Luca Guadagnino, so he's doing about a movie per year now, so he could fit that in somewhere soon. That'd be cool to see.
Definitely. East of Eden is another one. So
Ooh, I've heard of that one. Though.
it looks like it's probably going to be a remake or something. Like I feel like this has been already like a production. Am I wrong?
Yeah, it was a James Dean movie, I'm pretty sure, way back when.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm pretty sure. Yes, yep, James
But
Dean.
I
Okay.
think and then we also have another one called Mob Girl. And right now based on that, Jennifer Lawrence is the only star in all these movies, so we don't know of
Yes.
anything of those details.
Well, do you think she'll maybe try her hand at directing?
I think she said she wants to direct, but it hasn't been. I don't think the appropriate project has been approached to her. I remember
I'm
one
excited to see
thing.
her.
I remember there was like a discussion at one point that her and Amy Schumer were going to do a movie together. I don't know what happened, but I will say thank God that's not happening now. But yeah, that is Jennifer Lawrence in a nutshell. Does anybody have any final thoughts before we have to wrap up?
If you haven't seen No Hard Feelings, there's one scene on a beach that really is just. I can't believe she did that without stunts because I saw her interview. She did it all herself, and I'm like, wow, I didn't know that when I saw it, but I'm like, okay, good on you, Jennifer Lawrence.
Hunter, anything else?
No, I think she's one of our best movie stars that can also be, I don't want to say like actors, but like when she's doing Causeway, Don't Look Up, Mother, she's blending this line between blockbusters and smaller projects, and I'm glad there are people like that out there doing it, and I'm glad to see she's continuing on this path with these upcoming projects, and I'm very excited to see which ones come to fruition and wherever it keeps going, because forget she's still super young in terms of, I mean, she was what, 32 in No Hard Feelings, and she's 32 in real life, or 33 or whatever. So still got lots of time left to work with so many different directors and make so many different movies. And I think she's got a lot of talent to make that all worthwhile.
Mac?
Nah, got nothing to say. I hope she enjoys her hiatus, comes back, and maybe she recaptures that magic she had during her early years. And maybe we can get her in 'cause I think she's done with the big blockbuster stuff. I think she just wants to take she's gonna do more like award, like I want to say like bait movies, but more like just down earth movies. I think she just wants to try to do, because I don't blame her. Because when you start off with blockbusters, you kind of get, as we mentioned earlier, she was like sick of it by like the third X-Men movie, so she probably just wants to keep it.
Excellent. What is your favorite Jennifer Lawrence movie? Audience, let us know in the comments below. And what is your least favorite Jennifer Lawrence movie? Let us know. We'd love to know. Alrighties, Mac, are you ready to wrap this show up?
Yeah, I think we should probably go. This is the end, my beautiful friends, and we've been here for 15 years, and I think it's time we go to our home planet.
Years.
But our upcoming schedule for the M&K Productions podcast, if I'm not mistaken, the next episode will be a watch along, right, Kristen?
Yes. Should we announce the movie?
Yes.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are doing a watch along that celebrates 10 years of Frozen. We're going into the Frozen universe. Yep, we're gonna go watch Elsa sing "Let It Go." Maybe Mac and I will have a sing along. If
No, we're not.
I want to turn off those headphones and listen to something else. But yeah, that's what's coming up.
Yeah.
Hunter. Oh no, do you want an next? We don't have another episode planned yet.
We do. Yes, we do.
We can't do Five Nights at Freddy yet because
we're not doing Five Nights at Freddy. We're doing a wedding themed episode of our wedding movie. We're gonna celebrate Miss Flamingo's upcoming nuptials. We will be talking about some of the best wedding movies. So we're gonna explain why all three of My Big Fat Greek, or both My Big Fat Greek Wedding and Wedding Singer, are some of the best movies of all time. But I digress.
All right, Hunter, where can the good people follow you?
Oh, you can find me at thecinemadispatch.com or on Instagram or Twitter as well. Coming up, thankfully, is the Twin Cities Film Festival, so I only have to travel 15 minutes from my home to catch those movies and not across the world. But some of the highlights will be American Fiction, which won the People's Choice Award at TIFF, which proves I saw 27 movies. I still missed the People's Choice Award winner. So I'm glad I can catch up to it there. But there'll also be other stuff like All of Us Strangers and The Taste of Things, which is France's submission. So there's some great movies there to see. So I'm looking forward to that, to be able to keep the film festival craze going, but maybe in a more tempered setting, which is good for me after so much stuff.
Dean.
All right, yeah. You can find me at Post Credits Dean. I'm on Instagram, I'm on Relay, I'm on YouTube. I just like talking about movies. I like reviewing them. I'm not watching as much as I could because there's so much now, but if you have recommendations for me, let me know. Instagram's the best place to reach me. So yeah.
Excellent. Thank you both taking the time out of your busy schedules to join us. It was so much fun.
Yes, it was.
Thanks for having us.
No
yes,
problem.
we hope to have you back on again soon.
Yep.
But
Make sure
Mac?
you. Yeah, so links in the description to check out these two fine gentlemen at their pages and everything. Don't forget to follow us on Instagram at the M&K Productions Podcast and our social pages as well. Support us on Patreon. It's $2 a month. Come on, join in. We got feet pictures courtesy of moi, so you can see these beautiful cuticles.
That's questionable.
Yes. Also follow us on YouTube and Mac Movie Reviews. That's probably gonna separate it into the M&K Productions Podcast. I'm still thinking about it. And you can follow us on your favorite listening platforms and just look up M&K Productions Podcast, and we will get you going. We might be doing something special for Christmas for the merchandise, but that remains to be seen. But until then, I've been Mac. This has been Kristen. This has been Hunter, and this has been Dean. We'll see you all in the next episode of the podcast. Peace.
Bye.
me and you ain't on the same shit. You ain't in my lane, bitch, nah. Throw that shit in fifth, rollie on my wrist. Ay, baby, you a star, I'm my only wish. I'm counting blue hundreds, I'm too money. Ay, that my little bitch, she too lovely. Yeah, hanging up and calling me right back. Ay, baby, why you calling me like that? Yeah, getting high with the